The Hog Sty is brought to you by TicketClub.com, your one-stop shop for live events nationwide. Whether you're looking for game, theater, or live performance tickets, don't sweat it. TicketClub.com has you covered. So make sure you're going there for all your live entertainment needs, and make sure you're clicking over to them from the banner at the top of the hogsty.com. Welcome back to the Hog Sty, DC's unofficial leading source for all things Redskins and the NFL. My name's Sean Conti, Jamal Forrest, Steve Thomas, and Alex Zeese are all here today, and we got lots to talk about, namely Trent Williams' holdout with the team, the latest from OTAs, our usual assortment of user polls, and the continuation of our position group breakdowns. Let's get into it. Fellas, how you guys doing today?
I'm good. It's a nice day, and I've been running around all morning, so we're doing this very late for us.
Yes.
You know, which means Sean's actually awake.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
I'm all for this, guys. Let's keep going with this. This will work.
I get the sense after knowing you for 4 years that you may not be a morning person.
No comment.
Yeah.
I get the hunch that he may not.
Yeah.
You're really letting the listeners in on a truth about me.
See, the problem is that we do these Hog Sty late nights, and then half of us are not
Right.
late night people. Sean isn't a morning person, so there's only a small sweet spot where this show
Right.
doesn't suck.
I think that the ideal would be if we did it like Tuesday at 3 o'clock or something when we're all at work. But that's
We'd
yeah.
all get fired. Yeah. Although I must say, I'm the only one of us who's recorded a show in my
That's
work
that we
room.
know of.
That's true. I remember that show.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that was before Jamal. We did.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't remember that one.
Well, that was Ricky Sanders' interview. I got Ricky to just come over, and we were going to do him by phone. I think I just said, "Why don't you just come over?" And he said, "Okay."
Yeah, so Steve did it in his office.
We need to figure out what that even means. Yeah, rather than coming to my house.
The ironic part is, if I did it in my office, it would sound so much better because I have a $500,000 TV studio. But I would definitely get fired for using government property for a podcast.
It was either like my office or like a Starbucks, and I didn't want to record an interview with Ricky Sanders.
No,
at Starbucks,
no.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like how
Great
the
move.
listeners now know after 4 some years of doing this. Maybe how many years has it been that we've been doing this? 4?
No, we're
5?
We're going into year 5.
Going into year
We're
5.
going into 5.
We still can't get our scheduling stuff figured out. It takes 5 years, folks. Now you know.
No.
It's art.
I blame the time zones.
The podcast
exactly
life,
right.
that's all it is.
And Sean, you've lived in like 8 different places in that 5 years, so
It's so true.
Well, the people don't know how much drama we've had trying to schedule
yeah.
shows. It's been like enormous.
there's an entire usually before every season we spend 2 hours trying to figure out a schedule.
Something like that.
Yeah, and it never works.
Oh, well, like Jamal said, that's the podcast life. And speaking of
Yeah.
podcasts, let's get into our one because we have an interesting one today. Some drama coming out, and this is probably the perfect place to start since it's been dominating the Redskins news for the last week. And that's obviously Mr. Trent Williams. What's going on with his contract holdout? So, what's the deal, guys? Is this just the usual clown show that the Redskins always are? Is there something more to this? It seems like it's been just a ton of rumors.
Well, it is
Yeah.
the usual clown show. I mean,
It's
no
like
doubt
the
about
new
that.
Joker movie level clown show, which looks fantastic by the way.
actually,
But
Okay, so for those of you who've been living under a rock, what came out this past week is that Trent Williams, for one reason or another, is unhappy with the team and did not show up at the mandatory OTA session early in the week. The beat writers sort of collectively reported that this was contract related, and he was holding out for a new contract. Later in the week, Jason La Canfora, who was the former Redskins beat writer, who now is with
well, yeah, he's jumped around. He's been with all the networks now as the source guy. So yeah.
Yeah. Now Jason, who we know as Jasno, does get a lot of stuff wrong, but he gets a lot of stuff right too. The fan base, that you guys out there all hate him. We realize that, but Jason reported that this had nothing to do with contracts, and it was everything to do with medical. If you go back to late February, I don't know if we even talked about this because it just kind of flew under the radar scope. Trent had surgery on his head to have a growth removed. It was a cancer
it wasn't skin cancer though. It was some kind of tumor, which is odd. Yeah.
on his head. Yeah, on his head. It turned out to be benign, and he's fine.
Right.
He had surgery, and so he's fine. And so what Jason reported was that Trent is somehow mad at the team, something in conjunction with the tumor surgery he had on his head. The details of which we can only speculate. So, but it's either contract or it's medical. Or
Here's
both.
my question: are we sure, like, that it's the tumor part of the medical? Because to be fair, he had like 8 other medical issues in the season. You know,
I'm not sure at all.
Because everyone just seems to assume it's this tumor, but I've never seen anything confirming that one way or the other. I mean, because didn't he have to have like a weird mid-season knee surgery that he didn't expect, and that's why he missed a couple games. Then he never quite came back healthy. So there's a lot of medical stuff that this could also be. Everyone seems to assume it's the tumor, which makes the least sense of any other medical issue he's had, because the team really shouldn't be involved in your skin tumor thing.
Well, no. Okay, let me explain how this works. NFL football players in particular are conditioned automatically to go to the trainers for every medical problem. They do have medical insurance, and so if like Trent has a skin problem, he could go to see a doctor under the league provided medical insurance. But NFL players don't do that very often. They go to the trainer if they have the sniffles. They go to the trainer for everything. And so it's very likely that Trent saw whatever this thing was on his head, went to the trainer, and eventually got referred out to an appropriate specialist who clearly did the surgery on his head. And so, Mike, just if you read between the lines, it sounds like the source of the consternation here is something to do with the point in time between Trent probably went to see the trainer to how it is he arrived.
Yeah, and we have no idea what that is. It could have been.
I think it's the timing of the diagnosis. That's probably why I don't know.
Yeah, and so if you go with that, then it's we're just totally speculating here, or I am.
Yes,
but you can see maybe the trainer going, it's nothing.
Right.
Don't worry about it. And then he eventually saw the team doctor, maybe who it took a while, and so he, it seems like he's probably mad that they either ignored him or misdiagnosed him for a long time. That's my guess. Or it could just be a contract thing. We really don't know. Or he could have just had something to do. And none of this is right at all.
Because the rumor mill is swirling, as always.
Yeah.
But Morgan Moses commented this week and sort of confirmed or corroborated the idea that Trent's absence had something to do with medical. Okay? Trent was interviewed. We were not there.
Morgan was interviewed.
But Trent was interviewed. Yeah, I'm sorry. Morgan was interviewed after OTAs, and they asked him about this, and Morgan said words to the effect of, "It's good that someone of Trent's caliber spoke up about this," and then mentioned medical. And so it leads you to believe that he's sort of corroborating the idea that this has something to do with a medical situation with Trent that has something to do with the diagnosis, which would lead you to believe that it may not be contract related.
Yeah. And I mean, you take into account all the injuries this team's had in the last few years. I think we've heard enough stuff behind the scenes, even as just a little old us, to say that there are problems with this medical staff, and they stem back decades. Yep. So it's not surprising to know that the players might not be happy with the medical staff. There's enough evidence to say there's a problem in that area with this team. To say, if I were a player, I would probably have questions at this point.
Oh, we forgot to mention the most important thing. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And Trent's.
Oh, right. That's another part of the rumors that Trent said he would never.
He vowed he would never play.
Right. He vowed he would never set foot in Ashburn or something.
And to that, I have one thing to say: $14 million. I will believe it when I see it. I think Trent's just mad, about whatever it is he's mad about. But at the end of the day, is it $14 million worth of mad?
Well,
not to be cynical, but I doubt it.
I mean that is going to be the $14 million question. Obviously, it's now he's got money. Well, let's not forget Trent is already rich at this point in his life, and he's
but rich people want.
Yes, that's true.
Always.
But if he is legit upset with this team, I mean, I don't ever take it out of the possibility that he could just say, "I'm not showing up till week 10." You know.
I can only think of. Go ahead, Jamal. I'm sorry.
No, because I was actually probably about to follow up after you finish. So you go ahead.
I was just going to say that the only one I can think of that ever actually did it is Le'Veon Bell.
Well, years ago, I think someone mentioned to me that Joey Galloway did it.
So, what, held out for like at this point in time?
Oh no, held out into the season. Yeah,
into the season. Yeah, I don't think he's going to hold out into the season. I'm thinking about it now. I don't remember anybody specifically that held.
Well, Sean Gilbert would be the
season.
Yeah, Gilbert.
I do want to say, matter of fact, I want to say because Aaron Donald was frustrated about his contract, but I don't know if he held out into the season. I want to say he meant because we played the Rams in 2017. That was the year he was holding out for a period in time. But did he come back when he played?
Yeah,
us?
he did.
We played him in week 2.
He was activated that week.
So he missed the first game.
No, he was activated right before that game, if I remember right.
All right, right before the week 1 game.
Yeah, right.
Okay, all right. So yeah, it might have just been Le'Veon there, but even still, I don't think he. I told people this week I wouldn't be surprised if he skips training camp. A lot of people come in. I think you do get fined when it comes to training camp, and you get fined for any mandatory session.
You do.
So I mean, with that being said, then you get fined from training camp. But I wouldn't be surprised because of how like the seriousness of this situation. If we're assuming that it is the head injury or the benign tumor or growth on his head, this is something that he takes serious because it's outside of football. It's more than football. And if you're upset at the medical staff, assuming that it is the growth on his head, that could have been, if it was more serious, it could have been a life or death thing. That the training staff failed to, or the medical staff failed to diagnose or recognize and send them to the appropriate people way before he actually got this procedure done. And money can help the situation because on top of that, he is not being paid a top 5 player at his position anymore, or even on offensive line anymore. That's just something that's probably getting at him right now. So. I would just assume that he can take it into training camp, and he may take it longer, or maybe pushing up towards the regular season.
Well, first of all, about the salary, he's more like he's between 3 and 5 by most measures. Do you measure it by?
He'll end up being 7th though.
Well, right now at the moment, if you measure it by guaranteed money, by average annual value, by total contract value, right now today he's between 3 and 5 by all those measures.
Well, we all know he's not getting paid. He's not getting paid appropriately.
And speaking of all of this great Trent Williams stuff and the rumor mills that are circling, we might as well turn this over to someone who actually knows what he's talking about, as opposed to us. So we have a guest on the show today. He is a longtime friend of the show, been on a couple times. He's a senior reporter and analyst over at the Sports Journey, covering the Redskins, and he's here with us now. His name's Lake Lewis. Lake, how are you?
Hey guys, how you doing? I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. Trust me, we appreciate you being on more than vice versa, I promise.
No, it's mutual. It's mutual always. I always enjoy coming in with you guys.
Awesome. Well, good to know. Well, we know you're limited on time, so we'll jump right into it. We really want to get your opinion on this Trent Williams stuff that's been going on. Obviously, he's been missing from OTAs. There's a ton of rumors circling around about his holdout with the team. So is there anything that you've seen? We know you've been down there watching the team these last few days. Is there anything that you've seen that might be able to inform our understanding of this situation, or anything you've heard?
Well, I know that Bruce was in Houston, trying to meet with Trent and, seeing if, they can, I guess, work something out. And, Bruce put out a statement, as he always does with us in the local media, as opposed to facing us.
Right.
He puts out a statement saying that he knows the truth. He talked with Trent. It was the truth. So it I don't know, guys. I've been doing this all week, and it's kind of deflating, because it's the same way the Redskins have done business for a long time. And you have one of your best players, your face of your franchise, and a guy that's loved by the fans. You kind of tarnish him a little bit by making things out to be about a contract or whatever. And my theory is this. Trent knows what's going on. Bruce knows what's going on more than any of us. We all seem to think that, this is clearly a medical staff issue. Where players that I've talked to for years are just not trusting of the medical staff. They're not. I'm not gonna lie about it. They're not. And this isn't just me. Several of my colleagues cover the team on a daily basis know the same thing, and they've said it all week long too. But my issue with this whole thing is, again, Bruce comes out and says he knows the truth. Well, what is the truth? Let us know too.
Right.
And I think that's the issue here. It's another sign of the Redskins scoffing, frankly, and putting their nose up at the fan base who want to know what's going on. They have no problem taking people's money for season tickets and things of that nature and parading them around the fan base, but they have also no problem not telling you the nuances and things that they do in that building that aren't good. And this is a chance for a lot of that stuff to come to light, and it has. It's going to. And I think that they have a right to the fan base to fix some of these wrongs.
Mm-hmm. So let me take you back to kind of the beginning of this. This whole story, as a fan, kind of blindsided me because, we assumed everything was hunky-dory and he would be there, I guess, Monday. And then the news just kind of came out of nowhere. We know the medical case that everyone thinks it is, the tumor, was a few months back. I mean, had you guys in the press heard anything about this beforehand, or did it blindside you guys just as much as the rest of us?
Yeah, we heard some grumblings about it, but it wasn't that big a deal as far as some of the stuff we heard. When I say a big deal, no, it's a huge deal when someone's like livelihood and life, at that matter. Mm-hmm. But from a standpoint of him not being at OTAs, minicamp, veteran minicamp, we noticed that he wasn't there when basically doing a roll call. And I'll be the first to admit, I'm not one of those guys that stands there every practice and pulls out, the roster and checks every player off.
You're not taking attendance?
No, I look around. I do more of that stuff with my eyes. And, I'm with the guys who are standing there taking attendance.
Right.
They'd be jotting down. I'm going to say, hey, Lake, have you seen Jay Reed or something like that? No, I haven't seen him. Okay, that's confirmed. But a lot of guys check off stuff, but we all were like, we see everybody. We didn't see Jordan, but then Jordan was off on the auxiliary show.
Right.
That clears him.
Well, Trent's a hard guy to miss. I mean.
Yes. Right, exactly. So, and then when you see that offensive line being caved, then you realize he's not there. So, no, we just feel like, he's not here. And I don't think anybody thought, it's because he's holding out or he's mad. I think most people assumed what we pretty much had known. Had he even been at minicamp, he wouldn't have been able to practice because he's not cleared medically yet. So do you need your best player standing on the sidelines? Well, maybe to a young quarterback who can look at him and know that that's the guy that can keep guys off of him. Maybe in those lights, young offensive linemen, West, you're from Alabama. So, you think that maybe in that light you would want Trent there, but no one really felt that presence like, oh, my gosh, something's going on. But then Jay's the one that kind of confirmed some of the grumblings, believe it or not. When he said Trent's issues with the medical staff. So, and that's when I knew, okay, wow, this is going to be bad. It's really going to be bad because I've said this before. I don't like the fact that the Redskins have Jay Gruden up there in front of the firing squad. And we're not trying to get Jay in trouble. We're not trying to fire questions at him because we know he's going to say something that's going to make headlines. It's just that we're trying to get questions answered.
Sure.
The other thing is that don't make Doug Williams be the guy to do those things either. We've seen with both Jay and Doug, nothing good comes out of them answering hard questions that they're ill-equipped to answer. And they're ill-equipped to answer because they haven't, it's clear when they do this, that they haven't talked to their higher-ups as far as what to say and what not to say. That falls on Bruce Allenson, and that needs to be addressed.
Mike, Like, we know you're limited on time. So I've got two parts. Number one, can we conclusively rule this out as a contract dispute? And then number two, it sounds like the answer is yes to that. And then number two, what is the answer here? Does this go on, through training camp into the season, or is he going to come back, or what do we think? What's the most likely thing?
If the Redskins are smart, if they're smart, they get this rectified. They get Trent happy somehow. They make amends here. They give the olive branch, olive tree, whatever you want to call it. They do whatever they need to do to get their best player happy, because that guy is needed in the worst way this year. Yeah. Not a little bit. He's needed majorly. And, if him not being in camp, him not being on the team, ultimately affects their first-round draft pick in Dwayne Haskins as far as how soon you get him out on the field. You can't put him out there with no left tackle, because he'll get his brains beat at. You don't want that. I think Trent knows that, too. Yeah. Trent knows his worth, but make no mistake about that. He knows his worth. Is there some part of this as far as contract? Sure there is. Absolutely. But the fuel to the fire was added as far as the injury and the way that was, or the lack of the way that was handled. And that's the issue. That's the bigger issue of the two.
Knowing that you've been around the team for some time now, and that I think you were the one who stated that Trent isn't the only player to actually, make complaints or have issues with the medical and training staff. Do you think that they'd actually be willing, for Trent and for the players' sake, do you think they'd actually be willing to move part ways with their training staff if that's what it takes to keep Trent on the team and willing to play with them?
See, the problem is that the training staff has changed so frequently. You can't say that the current group is at fault. You can't say the last year or two is at fault. I mean, I've seen guys get strong. I've seen guys get much stronger, but there's a lack of communication somewhere as far as like when guys get injured and how it's maintained and how they're, how they're supposed to be treated. That's the issue. It's a lack of communication there. I mean, we've seen guys, and I keep using the Colt McCoy, the situation as the perfect example. Mm-hmm. They told us verbatim in our faces in a meeting, in a presser last year when Colt broke his leg. They told us that they still believe that Colt, if they were to make the playoffs somehow, would be back to start the playoffs. And I'm sure you guys heard the same thing.
Oh, of course.
So Colt McCoy is not even practicing right now. So that's my whole point. Like, how can you go from telling us a guy's going to come back in 3 to 5 weeks during the season, let alone, 3 to 5 months later? That's not good. And that's either, a lie, and they knew it was a lie to keep fans telling them some hope, or it was just, like I said, a communication process where everyone in the building's not on the same page as far as the universal delivery to the fans and to the media. And that's what I mean when I say
I'm going to go with both at the same time.
Yeah, so it's just, again, and that's what I'm saying. This isn't to knock, the organization as a whole. I've got great friends in the building. That's why I'm out there so much. So keep that in mind. But if you're asking me to be honest, it's dysfunctional, and they don't have a universal message, and that's all that people are asking for. If the universal message is this, then say it. But don't have Jay come out, don't have Doug come out and make those guys look bad, because it makes the organization look really bad. And it's not fair to either one of those guys who, in my opinion, have done really good jobs under the circumstances of their tenures. And that's just me, how I feel. I think both of them have done really well, considering the mess that they still have to kind of sift through every day.
Yeah. I gotta agree with you. I mean, they both are very likable whenever you're talking to them. I'll say that. So it's got to be tough for you guys to grill them like you do.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I sometimes feel bad for Jay. You do, because let's face it, this is a guy. Everyone's like he's on the hot seat. He's on the hot seat. He's had 3 different quarterbacks in his 5 years, his 6 years. Could be 4 different quarterbacks considering. And I'm talking about starting quarterbacks. I don't mean guys that, the Mark Sanchez of the world that they have to fill in because of injury. They've had 4 different starting quarterbacks. If you add Haskins to the equation between them, you're talking 4 and 5. That's in his 6 years. He still won a divisional title, something that a lot of guys who were before him didn't do. Took them to the playoffs. They were a game away from the playoffs. The following season, went to bed in the final game against the Giants. We know about that, but they've been competitive, and I think that's the key word under Gruden. And the last 2 years, they've been competitive with 3rd, 4th string quarterbacks and a major amount of injuries, more so than any other team in the league over the past 2 seasons. I think that means something. That means that the locker room is never put on their coach. And to me, that's a sign that you keep the guy around. And hopefully you see what he can do with a fully healthy roster, albeit one, though, that's going to be another one where it's another quarterback in play. And, so how much ability does he have? That's what I mean.
Yeah. It's a great point. Well said. Well, we know that you're pressed for time today, so we'll let you go. But thank you for coming on to discuss this with us. And we know you're still doing the Sports Journey thing. Do you have any specific projects over there or anywhere else that you want to go ahead and plug on the show here?
Yeah. I actually will be making an announcement probably on Tuesday. During OTAs, actually, of a new project that I'm going to be part of that I'm really excited about, and gotta wait till Tuesday for that though, guys. So, but yes, my staff is still doing well, and appreciative of my group, my staff that I have in there, and they're hammering away. So, but you gotta wait till Tuesday to hear about the other thing.
Okay, so I won't make a joke about the obvious what an announcement could be thing. Lake's holding out for more money.
Yeah, well,
that's a power move right there. Like
money's always.
All right, well, he is at Lake Lewis on Twitter. Thanks again, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Money's always important. So, yes, I'm excited about that too. But all right. It's a project that will be good for Redskins fans. Just put it that way.
Look forward to seeing it then. Yeah. All right.
All right. I appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, Lake. Thanks a lot. Yeah, have a great day.
Take care.
Bye.
You too.
Awesome. And there he goes. So I actually really liked the point he made, by the way, about Trent knows this is a wonderful time, that he has a lot of leverage over the team. This is the time when if you're going to hold out, this is when you can really do it to get results. Mm-hmm. So I think
we would all agree, even as Homer fans, that if you're going to be holding out for money, this was the exact time to do it if you're Trent. Right. From a negotiating standpoint.
Sure, Trent probably deserves to be the highest paid tackle in football, but this is really about something else. Didn't everybody
absolutely?
That out
and
Lake was saying?
Here's the thing: Trent's not lowly paid enough for it to not be about that. He's what, $3 million off from the highest paid player a year.
Yeah. He's in the ballpark, for sure. What really struck me as Lake was talking is that first and foremost, this is about a lack of leadership at the top of this team.
Yeah.
We have an owner, and God bless, the Redskins, they're good to us and everything, and if they criticize us, and shut us out, fine.
That's been the story with this team for as long as we've done this show, though, Steve.
Yeah.
It's just not transparent. No. They're not transparent as what Lake is alluding to. It wasn't necessarily, the training staff in particular, but they're just not transparent enough. Like, no matter who they bring in, it's a gap. It's a bridge that just never closed with the players in the actual organization.
Yeah, and Bruce Allen is a joke. Okay, He truly is. He's a terrible. All these problems could be stemmed if there was somebody with an ounce of leadership ability at the top. It doesn't even have to be Dan Snyder. Right. It would be great if Dan Snyder was Jack Kent Cooke or Robert Kraft. It would be great, but it could also be the team president. And Bruce Allen has become a caricature of himself, and he's a joke. And it's pathetic. Lake pointed it out. They trot Jay out there this week and let Jay answer the question.
Jay's not the one going down there to Houston.
I read the
It's Bruce.
Yeah, It's Bruce. I mean, we read they sent us a transcript. I mean, Jay basically went, I don't know what, I know this has something to do with medical. I mean, that's kind of what Jay's answer was, and that's about it. And Jay probably knows a little bit more than that, but, there's no reason why ownership or the team president doesn't answer a question when you're 7-time Pro Bowler. The star of the team, the best player on the team, has a problem, and you're going to let Jay Gruden take the bullets for it. It's a lack of leadership. It's a lack of management. It's an insult to the fans, and it's an insult
I agree with you on all that, but it's also tactically. I mean, we heard how Lake was talking about Jay and Doug, and we've heard how other reporters have said this too. The press likes those guys, right? So they're not going to be. They're hoping that if we trot out Jay and Doug, they won't be as mean because.
Well, they make Jay and Doug look like fools.
I know.
Is a problem. You try. Doug isn't.
No.
Doug isn't stupid. Doug's a smart guy. But I mean, when you trotted him out for this cheerleader thing, you trotted him out there for the Reuben Foster thing, and he misspoke multiple times.
Because Doug says things how he says things, and yeah.
Yeah, granted, but maybe if you know that, you don't. Maybe the team president needs to make
Doug is not a politician. Doug is a Southern guy who's just going to tell you like it is.
He's a football player.
Yeah,
he's a football player.
Right.
Ultimately, so it's like we've been saying, all these years, but particularly in recent past maybe year or so, Bruce Allen needs to go. I never thought he didn't go. Yeah, congratulations, you navigated a good draft.
Right,
great. But that in no way improves the job that you've done with this team, which is pathetic.
Well, it's interesting. I didn't realize he flew down to Houston. Actually, I had heard that there was some talks that people were saying Snyder should go do that. I'm surprised Bruce did it.
Yes, he should. Well, I've been tempted to go knock on the door of that gym and see if they'll let me in, quite honestly. Because I know where it is.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's what we think and what Lake thinks. I understand we have some polls along this topic as well where we can hear what the people think. So let's see what's everyone saying in the fandom.
Okay. Well, there's 2 polls today. One of them was Jamal's, so we'll let Jamal talk through it, even though I have the results in front of me.
I'll say, you go ahead and do that, then. I don't got those.
Okay, all right. Well, we're going to start with my poll here first.
Yeah, because we did these chronologically for a reason.
Yeah. And, of course, I didn't print it again, which is my fault. And now I'm trying to find it.
So the first poll was along the lines of...
Okay. I got it. No, I got it. Okay, so the question was, how do you think the Redskins should respond to Trent Williams' alleged demand for either a new contract or a trade? We did that early in the week, like Tuesday.
Yeah, we did it the day the news broke, yeah.
Yeah, and it got a ton of votes because everybody was super mad about all of this. And so the options for this one were give him an extension, trade him, cut him, or make him play out his contract. Those are the options. So as we do
also, in further context, this is before the medical news story broke too. That we put this out there.
Right. Correct. So let's start with Jamal. You've been off the show. You've been gone for the past couple of shows. So we're going to start with you. And so give us your opinion on it and give us what you think the fans would have voted for.
I don't know. I don't know. This one's a little bit different. Let me see. Hold on. Come back to me in like two tracks.
Okay, Sean,
all right.
You go next.
I like how you go to me next because you love laughing at the fact that I'm literally always wrong.
I don't want to let you piggyback off to Alex.
That's what I would have done.
So maybe Alex.
Fine, I'll go first.
No, it's okay. I was going to do it.
There we go.
We're supposed to be decisive on the show. My God, somebody give us an opinion.
Okay, let me do it so I can't piggyback. Okay, I'm going to say make him play out his contract, and I'm also going to guess that is what people said. Oh, I'm so not confident in that, Steve. Oh, I'm not confident in that at all. But, okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna think Alex, that the people said give an extension because of the time. At the time, again, we'd heard he just wanted more money. So I think that first wave of votes would have strongly been just pay him. I would I'm actually kind of in the I would be looking at trade options at this point camp. I'm not very confident that he's coming back. So
wow.
Okay,
All
Jamal.
right. Yeah. I think it's giving him an extension. The only reason why I was so conflicted earlier is because during the time like this whole period was going out, I've seen personally people saying do whatever it takes to keep Trent, but then I've also seen some people talk about explore trade options. So I was just kind of torn on this one, but I say give him the extension. That's what I think fans would say. Personally, it's kind of a mix. I don't have the option on this poll, but it's making sure you cover all your bases. I will explore everything. Seek trade partners, see what they would do. But then I will also still talk to his agent and make sure that we can try and work out some numbers that's beneficial for both of us and keeps Trent happy. So, I think they said give him an extension.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, Sean. Congratulations, man.
I know.
For once.
I knew it.
I knew it.
Perfect wrong record. Perfect.
Well, hey, Sean, you have another shot, technically, to.
Yeah, you do. We have another poll here coming up. Okay, so the give him an extension crowd won the poll by a vote of 51%. 27% said make him play out his contract. Okay. That's what I would have voted for, by the way, is make him play out his contract. 21% was trade him, and then the really, really mad 1% voted cut him. Which is like 7 or 8 people. We got about 8 votes on this,
like
so that's like
Listen, I can understand how mad people are, especially early on when we thought it was just about money, but you don't just cut a guy like that.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I wouldn't trade Trent. I don't care. I would never trade Trent. I wouldn't even pick up the phone on Trent.
See, I'm of the opinion that if he really, if the options are he just sits at home for a year or you trade him, I trade him.
I would make him sit at home. I mean, there's no way I'm trading Trent Williams. I'm just period dot the end. It's not an option. And I would tell him that straight up. We're not trading you. You can sit out if you want, but we need you. I don't care what draft picks we get back. We need our left tackle. So
I would think he would sit at home. I think there's a good chance of that.
Then he would just have to sit at home.
At the end of the day, he could do that, but at the end of the day, we're still going to have to find a left tackle.
Yeah, that's
exactly right.
We can get to that later. I have a thought about that too. But
okay,
yeah.
Let me do the second poll before we get to comments here. So the second poll was Jamal's idea, but I'll read it since I have it sitting here in front of me. Okay, so the question was: we did put this up later, like Thursday night, I think it was, later in the week. Knowing what we've learned this week, what percentage chance do you give to the possibility of Trent Williams playing for the Redskins in 2019? This poll number 2. Options were 90% or more, 75%, 50-50, or less than 50%. So those are the options. And so yet again, we're going to go to Sean, so we cannot piggyback on anybody else's answer. So tell us what you think and what the people would have voted for. Again, later in the week. We're thinking Thursday, Friday now.
I am going to say... I'm going to say it's 50-50 myself, personally.
Okay.
As far as the fan base thinks, they were super positive about it, surprisingly, from the other polls. So I'm going to guess 75%, maybe. I'm going to say they're still staying positive, I guess.
Okay.
That's what I'm going with.
All right. Let's save Jamal for last.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of right on par with Sean there. I'm pretty much 50-50 that he's back, and I think the fan base is way more positive about it.
Nice. All right.
Okay.
Same thing. I think it's 50-50 right now. I think he's pretty serious about this, and it may force the Redskins' hand in terms of a trade or extension, or he may even just sit out / not be on the team come the regular season. So say 50-50 personally, but I also think that the Redskins fans are extremely optimistic. This is the Redskins' best player. It has been the best player on the team for approaching a decade.
Yeah, this would have been year 10.
So I believe that they believe it's a 90% chance or more that he is he's going to be a Redskin in 2019. They don't imagine anything else without Trent Williams.
See, if you guys recall when we started doing, Joel first came on the show, he was regularly getting these polls right every week. Remember this? And you've been through a little bit of a low spot recently, Jamal.
A slump?
But congratulations, you've broken your slump. You were right. 43% of you out there, and put me in the 43% class. I didn't vote, but if I would have voted, I would have voted for this. 43% said 90% more chance that he was going to be that he'll be back. 50-50 was the next one, 24%. 75% said, 20% said we're in the 75% category, and then only a mere 14% of you voted less than 50% chance. So that is the result of the poll. So you guys are right, sort of conceptually. Yes, the fan base is optimistic. Just Jamal or Sean and Alex, you underestimated the amount.
Yeah, a lot of sunshine and rainbows out there. I don't understand it.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll run through a few comments here. We always got to go with the women because we want more female votes on this thing. Miss V, if you nasty, who's at Sugar Spice something.
I'm not sure this is a woman.
Really knows what she means by that. No, well, I mean it's a woman's photo, so her opinion is replace the medical staff and extend his contract by 2 years. That's not a bad thought. Mike Parlett said, "No way is he going to miss those sweet paychecks." I kind of agree with you, Mike, on that one. We're going to go to the other poll now because we got a whole bunch of comments on the first one.
Well, yeah, because people were fired up.
Yeah, and I think they were tired of us polling them by the end of the week, too, is the other thing.
Phrasing.
We've been harassing them for 4 days, straight days. Yeah. Okay, so here's an alternate opinion. I'm going to kind of edit these curse words out of this. Citizen X, who was at Citizen X19, writes, "I'm tired of the players demanding more money or trade. I know contracts have been restructured, but it's front-loaded to bonus for a lighter cap hit. I like Trent Williams, but this is BS. We want to build a winner, but demand all free money." So, he doesn't like it at all. Scott Campbell wrote in again.
Yeah, that's Scamp.
Scamp, right, Alex? He writes, trade his butt, and he never plays the full season anyway. He's probably one of the 8 people who voted.
Well, no, he just said trade, so he voted to trade him. He literally said his vote there, Steve. Come on.
That's true. You're right. Yeah, you're right.
Trent
That's
last
true.
play a full season. That's not a bad comment.
Yeah.
I have that. I'll get to that. I have
2013.
Yeah. Rick Jones, who's at Jim West 58, says, "I'll pay him, but just a token increase to keep him ahead of Scherf with only 1 year added." Scherf's not the guy you need to worry about.
Wild West, eh?
He's concerned about. Yeah. Rick Rogers wrote in to say give him a Donovan McNabb.
So basically extend him, then bench him, and fire him later? Is that...
Yeah. So give him a massive extension, then cut him 5 weeks later. I guess that's what Rick means. Oh, another woman. Here we go. Hailing Melissa says, "Whatever they do, do it fast. We need a left tackle for practices, and we don't need this negative distraction." Very true.
Good point,
Melissa. We're going to skip the people I don't like.
Austin. And
that's
it was everybody else
comments.
That he didn't.
We'll leave it at that.
Nice.
Yeah. Because, here's a good little hint.
Yes.
I don't like most of you.
Well, Steve, you don't even like us that much, and you do a show with us.
Not really, no. No, I just tolerate you guys.
Fair enough.
No, that's not true. I do like most of you. There are a few nincompoops out there for sure, but most of you are great, and we certainly appreciate everybody listening. I'm going to pretend that
no one bought that.
So that's the poll. I think generally speaking, the people are fairly positive. Either they're positive about it or they're mad. That was early in the week, and then once all this medical stuff came out, I'm not sure anybody knows what to think. I think we can unite with this thought, and then let's move on. The Redskins front office stinks. They need to fix this. If it were me and I was Dan Snyder, I would pull Trent Williams into the office and talk to him man to man and say, "Listen, what is your issue? What can I do to help? And what can I do to solve the problem?" And I would sit there and fix the problem. That's what any reasonable leader would do. That's not
and I agree with you 100%. I mean, you know how I feel about the medical staff anyway, and how I'm about ready. I would say if we get as banged up as we did last year, I'd be ready to get rid of them.
I just don't blame the medical staff for that.
I mean, do you blame them for all the players don't trust them? Yeah.
Well, that's another matter. This is the first we've heard of people
not the first,
it,
but
in a major way. I don't blame the medical staff.
No, I don't think you can blame for that.
Broken legs, infections. I don't blame them for any of that. I don't. I mean, the not trusting them is a whole.
I mean, the fact that
absolutely.
guys can't seem to get right in recovery, I kind of look at them and be like, why is this a continuing issue? But regardless, I think we need to. I don't know. Bring back Bubba Tyler. Is he alive? Like, can we get him back? Things were better under Bubba.
Yeah, I'm sure he is.
Yeah,
do we want to move on?
And we got to talk about the other tackles. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so Morgan Moses, starting right tackle. He's been with Redskins since 2014. He has a massive contract. He went to Virginia. He's from Richmond. He becomes our most experienced and best offensive tackle right now, by the way. Here's what I'll say about Morgan Moses. It seems like he's constantly injured. Seems like he's hurt all the time. This man has not missed a game since 2014.
He's been playing on broken legs and stuff. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. He's been an absolute animal this entire time.
So, about that, just because it struck up a conversation with somebody else on Twitter. There's no disagreement with what both of you guys said. Morgan Moses is a tough player. But we do have to face the fact that some of these players are injury prone. And these guys, Morgan Moses and even Trent Williams, for the conversations that we already had, I don't have to rehash it. It's kind of frustrating because we do rely. I don't know what happens, why we end up getting these injury prone players, or they end up developing into one or something. I don't know, but it's kind of frustrating. We gotta hope that Morgan Moses ends up playing a full 16 here, and 90% of that 16 is him playing healthy at least.
Well, I got a hypothetical for you guys. I mean, we've already talked about how what if Trent does miss a few games with this holdout. It might be that Moses ends up being our left tackle because no one else is going to be better than him at that point.
I don't know about that.
You have to consider that as an option right now.
I guess.
I'm about to say they might, but it's kind of hard knowing that he's played it for like 4 years now.
Yeah.
And then he has to try to mentally prepare to do it like from a left. I know it's different. I can't explain it. I never knew about offensive line, but it's just different. So I don't know if they're going to be able to make him go to left side like that.
What both Robbie Duncan and Adam Taraski have told us is that it's much harder to go from left to right than from tackle to guard. And so from that respect, I think you have a good point, Jamal. And I respect both of those guys' opinions. They both played it in college.
Right. They're both right tackles, I think, at one point.
Yeah. I mean, to this question that Alex raised, I'm more inclined to leave Moses where he is and, find a new left tackle.
I just don't think you're going to find a player better than him caliber-wise.
What are you talking about? We've got Blake Hance, okay?
I don't trust guys named Blake to play tackle.
We'll get to Blake Hance in a minute here. But since we're running out of time, that's Morgan Moses. He needs to stay healthy. I think that's. Oh, I have a stat for you. Here's a wonderful Morgan Moses stat. Would anybody care to name? And this is going to be an easy trivia question since I just gave the answer. Would anybody care to name the NFL's leading penalty getter, for lack of a better term?
Yeah, I mean, it was.
Who got more penalties than?
Well, Moses had 14 holding penalties. I know that.
No, he didn't have 14 holding penalties. He had 14 total penalties, which led the NFL. He had 7 holding penalties, 2 false starts. So, and that's 13.
That's frustrating.
Yeah, one of us is another one. So he's leading the NFL in penalties last year. That was an anomaly. That was way over his average. So that's Morgan.
To be fair, he was, again, playing on 2 broken legs, and so he just held people all the time. Yeah.
Whatever works, I guess.
Okay, if you want to go with that. I just think he had a bad year, for perfectly honest. But okay, Jerron Christian next, our 3rd-round draft pick last year, 6'5", 302 out of Louisville. Played 2 games. This might be our starting left tackle as of right now, except that he's coming back from MCL surgery himself late in the year, so he's not ready, nor has he practiced.
And how many games did he play? Oh, my God.
Yeah.
He played 2 games. He played in week 9 and 10 and tore his MCL.
A lot of people kind of initially thought that was a redshirt injury, kind of just stash him on the IR for a year because not so much. But because the reason everyone thought that was when he was playing, it was not a pretty sight. He wasn't getting, just thrown to the ground all the time, but everything about his play was pretty sloppy.
Well, I like to dissuade people of that opinion to a certain extent. I went back in preparation I knew we were doing position group breakdown, tackles. I went back and watched all of John Christian's
2 games,
10 minutes
from last year, which is 2 games. And he really only played 3 plays in the Tampa game. So when I say all, what I really mean is I watched the Falcons game. He wasn't that bad, okay? He wasn't good. I think his primary limitation that I saw is play strength. These defensive ends, a couple of bull rushed him a couple of times, not threw him around. He does have some technique problems. I'm no expert, but I think those are coaching things, and I think fundamentally he can get there. I'm a little bit more positive about John Christian than I was before I started watching his game film from 2018. So it's going to take some coaching. It's going to take him being in the gym and getting stronger, but I think he does have potential. He may not be a starter, but I think he has more potential than you guys out there think, and than I personally thought before.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of people were ready to throw the towel in on him right away, and I just think back to what Moses was his first year, what Spencer Long was for us his first year, and you look at and coaches got those guys knowing they need a year to develop, and maybe Christian needs a year or 2 to develop.
And he was awful in the preseason, but I'm just telling you that Falcons game.
It was a terrible game.
It really wasn't.
But maybe just not from his part.
I'm just talking about just
what week was it?
Alone, studying
week 9, you said? Okay, so Alex Smith was still playing. Okay.
Correct.
All right.
Yeah, Alex Smith was still playing. It was an Alex Smith game. Jamal, opinions on John Christian? Am I totally wrong, or what? Should we throw him out with the bathwater?
I never. Well, first things first. When it comes to me, I've never really thrown the towel after 1 year with any guy. In the league, I give them opportunities. The only time I've ever said a person doesn't work out is if they it's clear cut trash, like Nathan Peterman, Bakari Rambo. I know trash when I see it. And sometimes, you just need tutelage or you need to develop a little bit into your position. So, no, I don't think you're wrong. I haven't gone back and watched him play. So I take your word for it. But in terms of Christian by itself, I give him a year, another year or 2. Even that.
Here's what I saw. What I saw, and again, I'm not especially about offensive linemen. I'm not close to being an expert. But what I saw was the plays that were the negative reps. His feet, he didn't get low enough. He loses leverage. His feet get out of whack on him a little bit, and then occasionally he'll get hand placement too far out, not in the chest, and and again he just needs play strength. Because they can just bull rush him. So those are the problems. But I think all those things can be corrected to a certain extent with either coaching or being in the gym. So I think he's better.
I remember when we drafted him, everyone said he was going to need to bulk up a bit because I think when we drafted him, he was still in the 280, 290 or something.
270 or 280.
Yeah. So
yeah, he's
listening. Yeah, I would still like to see more than that on someone who's 6'5" playing tackle myself, but
yeah. Next up is Timon
Who?
Harris. He was undrafted free agent last year.
All right.
So he's out of Stony Brook, which is why nobody's ever heard of him. He bounced around between the practice squad and the active roster. This is the guy they brought up when Austin Howard went down.
And Austin Howard brought up when someone else went down, and we brought that guy up when Trent went down.
Yeah, in other words, Timon is about the 5th string, last year. Played in 1 game. Good luck to you.
What can you really
say?
Right.
Hope it works out. That's what who knows? Unless anybody else has,
No one in the planet has words of wisdom about Timon Paris.
Okay, so we've churned through a whole bunch of undrafted free agents over the past 2 weeks, tackles. It's like every day.
And you've watched film on all of them, which is the scary part.
I've studied them. Yeah, It is. I mean, it's just. I'm just masochistic about this. It's sad. Okay, so the two guys we have right now, Brian Wallace out of Arkansas, is the first one. He was, he's about 6'5", 320. Played 4 years at Arkansas, so that's good. He had 29 starts. He was a right tackle, not a left tackle. From what I understand about him, he's pretty agile. He's got good size. He's got really long arms, 35-inch arms, which helps when you're a tackle. Lacking on technique. So that's the book as I see it on Brian Wallace. So there you go. He is from Missouri.
All right.
So yeah, ranked as the top. He was the number one prospect in Missouri coming out of high school. And then I mentioned before Blake Hance. This is an interesting dude. Blake Hance is out of Northwestern. This guy was a 4-year starter. He made 46 starts, left tackle, really a 3.5-year starter. But he's very, very experienced. He's smart, academic, all Big Ten. He's got the size, 6'5", 310 pounds. He's athletic, but he's inconsistent. Hence the reason why he's undrafted. But it's an experienced, smart guy. So, if you're going to bet on an undrafted free agent to make the roster, not a bad one to bet on, I suppose.
All right. And I think we missed somebody.
Did we?
Jinga. Or as he's also known, Eric Flowers.
Well, we counted Eric Flowers as a guard.
Okay.
Week. Yeah. That's why I didn't go over him this week. I mean, if you want to count Eric,
no confidence.
Here's what we can say about Eric Flowers. The beat writers, Lake said this, I think. Everybody said this. Eric Flowers is having the worst camp of anybody.
That's why I called him Jinga. He just falls over.
Eric Flowers has tossed him around like a wet rag or wet noodle this week, apparently. So he should not be a left tackle.
But he's playing left tackle now because they have no other choice in camp. Yeah.
Yeah, and God help our souls if he has to line up as a left tackle in a game.
Thing is, I think they are intent on putting that man at guard, which is a good thing. So whoever's going to be at camp, training camp, I'm sure that Austin Howard may be that person.
If they get desperate, bring him back.
We ain't really got that much choices. But Eric Flowers ain't playing tackle.
No. I would like to think that in an emergency, Drawn Christian would be it, except that he's still recovering from knee surgery.
Yeah, that's why I didn't even think about him.
Yeah, they're truly out of options. I mean, when Lake said they need Trent, they really need him in the worst way. That's why when I said earlier, I would tell Trent flat out, we're not trading you. I don't care what you want. We ain't trading you. Period. The end.
I wouldn't say it that way. I'd be a little bit more compassionate.
I would.
All right,
well,
but I'm not playing for us.
You're probably better with people than I am, Jamal.
That's not hard. That's not hard to believe.
I'm about to say, because you say it the way you say it. Trent is not playing for us. He's gonna say, all right, well, you want to take it that way? I'll make sure I'll stand my ground too. And I guess we ain't playing for each other. We ain't working together.
Well, maybe we need to trot Jamal out there. Not me.
Man,
Next time we have
person,
that issue.
You know what I'm saying? I talk to people. That's my job. I'm an auditor. I interview people. I make sure that their voices and concerns are heard.
See, I have a history of just telling people the blunt and honest truth and getting in trouble for it. And so maybe I'm not the one that ought to talk to.
No, that's probably for the best. It's going to be tough you really hope that it works out because we've been so spoiled at left tackle the last, 20 years, even longer than that. Although there was a bit of a dry spell between the Gibbs era and Chris Samuels that we forget about. Yeah, about a decade almost.
A years.
Yeah, because I went back and looked at how many. I went back at one point and just started counting Pro Bowls. How many years we had a Pro Bowl left tackle, and from like 2000 to now, 18 years, it's like 15 of them we have a Pro Bowl tackle, and then
Okay, so Jim Lachey retired in 1995.
And then Chris Samuels is not until 2001, right, or 2000. Yeah,
I'm gonna pull it up.
Yeah, so there's a 5-year gap there.
Okay, 2000. So we had...
And Jim Lachey didn't make a Pro Bowl but after 1991, which is an interesting little note I found. Yeah he was still very good. Yeah.
Left tackle.
But, so
Yeah, but I mean, that 5-year gap, you could go all the way back to Joe Jacoby, our buddy Joe Jacoby.
Right. And, we've been very spoiled, as we've talked about before.
It's the only thing this team has done consistently.
Right. Well, and they're probably going to have to do it next year.
And they're consistently doing chaos well, too.
Mm-hmm.
Those two things. Chaos and left tackle.
Yes.
I think we just got the showtime.
There we go.
Chaos and left tackle.
All right, perfect. Well, anything else we want to say about tackles on the team, about Trent Williams, about anything else we've talked about today? I know we had some, maybe potentially one other little topic that's totally unrelated to talk about today, if you guys still want to do that. That would be the major contract a certain somebody in our division received.
Yeah, we could briefly just mention Carson Wentz got $32 million a year. That's nuts.
Boy.
Yeah.
Good for you.
4 years, $128 million. They gave him that contract knowing he's not been healthy. So for the sake of the Eagles, I hope it doesn't work out.
We wish you the worst.
And I hope that the Cowboys double it for not Derek Carr, Dak Prescott.
Yeah, amen.
Yeah, they need to. It'd be I'd celebrate with them.
Dak deserves $50 million a year, Jerry.
Yeah,
do it.
Pay the man.
If I had my choice, I'd take Wentz over
who
Dak
wouldn't?
every day.
All right, beautiful. Well, we'll cut it off there then. Awesome. This has been great. Keep coming back to thehogsty.com. We've got all kinds of new stuff coming to you, and all of our shows are still rocking, so make sure you're checking all of the stuff we produce out because it's all great. Other than that, we'll let you all get back to your weekends, and we'll see you next week right here on the Hog Sty. Take care.